You ever have one of those moments where you look up and suddenly realize you're not the only one standing on your own property? Yeah, that happened to me. Waist deep in lake water, dragging my old kayak up the pebbled shore, thinking I might actually get a peaceful Saturday. I turn around, and there's Belle Reading, president of our HOA, standing on my dock like she's queen of the damned. Sunglasses perched high, arms folded, giving me that look, the one that says, "You're about to have a real bad day." She doesn't even say hello. "You're not authorized to fence off the dock," she says, flat as a dead battery. This shoreline is part of the community's shared access. It's in the HOA bylaws. I swear, for a split second, I thought she was joking. I blinked. "What?" I say. "No, it isn't. This is my land. Bought it last year. Surveyed, deeded, recorded, all of it. Nothing here is community property." Belle just smirks, tilts her hat. "You're mistaken. The HOA has always treated this area as shared space. You can't restrict access." And that, my friend, was the first shot across the bow. I'm Everett Granger, retired paramedic. Bought the lake house to escape headaches like this. I didn't even know the property was tangled up with an HOA till 3 weeks after I moved in. Hidden clause in the paperwork. Lakefront Meadows Association. Sounded sweet. Turned out to be a bed and breakfast run by pirates. From then on, Belle was at my place every week, clipboard in hand, finding fresh things to criticize. The mailbox color, my unauthorized fire pit, the type of mulch I used. But this was different. She was after my shoreline. A week later, a letter appeared, taped to my door, not mailed. Handwritten, official as a ransom note. Signed by Belle and 2 board members. "Your dock and lake access are being reclaimed for community use, effective immediately." I laughed out loud too. Then I called Marcus, my real estate attorney. He didn't laugh. He said, "That's not just overreach, Everett. That's borderline criminal if they're trying to seize private land without authority." So I got smart. Started documenting everything, every visit, every note, every little stunt. Even installed cameras around the dock and the house. And not a moment too soon. A few days later, I caught Belle and her board pals on camera. In broad daylight, unbolting the gate I'd put up at the top of my dock stairs. Not sneaking, not even trying to hide. I came down the hill, shouting, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" "Belle." Ice cold. "You were warned. The HOA has voted to reassert community access. Your gate's a violation. That's private property," I said, louder than I needed to. "You're trespassing. Call the sheriff." She just grinned. "We're enforcing the rules." So I called the sheriff. Deputy showed up in 10 minutes. I pulled out the deed, the plat map, the camera footage. Belle tried to filibuster. This land has historically been shared, but the deputy cut her off. "Ma'am, unless you've got a court order, you need to leave his property." She turned red as her manicure. When they left, I filed a restraining order, then filed for a declaratory judgment in county court. If they wanted a war, I was game. 2 days after I filed, the county clerk called. The hearing was set for next Thursday. 6 days. First thing, I called Marcus. "We'll need more than the deed and survey," he said. "We need witnesses, old owners, every shred of HOA communication. If they tried this with other homeowners, we need them on record." That night, I walked the neighborhood, notepad in hand, knocking on doors, asking, "Has the HOA ever tried to claim your property?" Most people just looked confused. But 2, Dale and Rosa, invited me in for lemonade and a story. Rosa slid me a folder. They tried the same thing with us, claimed our dock was common use. Shoreline. We lawyered up and shut it down, but they never put anything in writing. I asked if they'd testify. Dale grinned. Gladly. About time someone stood up to them. Next morning, I went to the county recorder's office, dug through every plat, easement, amendment ever filed on my land and the ones around it. Not a single mention of shared shoreline rights. No claim from the HOA, not even a hint. But I did find a thin folder, Lakefront Meadows Articles of Incorporation, dated 16 years back. Inside, a hand-drawn, unapproved map proposing community shoreline access. Points. My dock was circled in red pen. I scanned it and sent it to Marcus. He replied quick, "That's not legal, but it might explain why they're acting like it is. If they've been using a fake map, that's fraud." That afternoon, Another note in my mailbox, typed, official, HOA letterhead. A $500 fine for obstructing community shoreline. I stared at it, then took it straight to the sheriff's office. Deputy Ilton, the same guy, just shook his head. Now they're issuing fines? That could be attempted extortion, Everett, depending on how far they take it. He made a copy for the file. I added it to my binder for the hearing. Every page was time-stamped, cross-referenced, ready. The real twist came the day before court. Marcus called. Sounded like he'd swallowed a live wire. Just got off the phone with the county prosecutor. He's opening a preliminary investigation. Unlawful attempts to seize private property. I almost spilled my coffee. If the HOA board acted without authority and tried to enforce it, that's abuse of power. If they collected fines under false pretenses, it's criminal. Thursday came fast. The courtroom was modest, packed wall to wall. Word had gotten out. Dale and Rosa were there, plus some other neighbors. Belle walked in with her lawyer. He looked like he'd lost a bet. The judge, a sharp lady with silver hair, didn't waste words. Belle's attorney started with a speech about tradition and historic access, but he couldn't cough up a single legal document. Our turn. Marcus laid it out. The deed, the survey, the plat map. No easements, no shared access. He showed the judge the fake map. Then he dropped the bomb. Video of Belle and the board trespassing, unbolting my gate, announcing reclaimed property. You could hear Belle's voice plain as day. The judge just stared, at the screen, then at the HOA table. Dale and Rosa testified, told their own story. The judge turned to Belle. Do you have any document recorded with the county that gives you rights to this shoreline? Belle tried to sound confident, but her voice cracked. The board has always assumed. The law doesn't operate on assumptions. The judge cut in. She recessed for an hour. When she came back, she didn't hesitate. The property in question is legally and exclusively owned by Mr. Granger. The HOA has no authority. Attempts to enforce control were without legal basis. She looked at Belle. The court advises the county prosecutor to proceed with further investigation. Then at me. Mr. Granger, your rights stand. You may pursue civil damages. Gallery erupted in applause. As we filed out, Marcus clapped me on the shoulder. You just set precedent in this county, Everett. That doc's yours. And now it's the law. For the first time in weeks, I exhaled. I thought maybe the storm was over. Not quite. Monday, I got a call from a woman named DRA, a CPA up the road. We'd met once at a cleanup event. She was nervous. I've been the HOA's volunteer accountant. I just quit. You need to know what's been going on. She came over that evening, laptop and battered folder in tow. She'd found a hidden discretionary fund. Payments marked for landscaping, plumbing, even dock repair, none of which ever happened. How much? I asked. Almost 60 grand over 4 years. All miscategorized. The vendor? Green Ribbon Property Services. Doesn't exist. She had invoices, emails, check stubs, the works. Turns out, not only did the vendor not exist, but when she checked state records, there'd never even been a business by that name. Wire fraud, embezzlement, tax evasion, take your pick. I called Marcus. He told me to copy everything, bring it to his office. The next day, 2 investigators from Financial Crimes Division showed up at the clubhouse, left with computers, files, and a printer. By sunset, Belle's face was on the front page, not just HOA president, but suspect in active financial crimes investigation. Still, it felt like there was more under the surface. I dug into old county records and zoning appeals. 8 years back, the HOA had petitioned to reclassify several lakefront lots, including mine, as community access zones. Rejected, but someone had drawn up that map anyway and started acting like it was law. The name on the petition? Todd Reading, Belle's husband. Marcus ran a background check. Todd had set up Green Ribbon Property Services years ago, registered it, dissolved it, and then they kept using the name to funnel money into a personal account. The state moved fast. Todd was arrested at a storage unit, caught emptying out files and safes. Wire fraud, tax evasion, destruction of public records. Belle turned herself in the next day. Her mugshot ran on the evening news. At the emergency HOA meeting, the clubhouse was standing room only. County appointed an interim board. DRA was named treasurer, and, lucky me, I got roped in as oversight liaison. I said it straight. We're not here to relive what happened. We're here to rebuild. That starts with transparency. We held open book financial reviews, refunded bogus fines, verified every vendor, every new expense posted online. But the fallout wasn't over. Homeowners filed a civil suit. Marcus helped. Department of Justice sent a letter. They were launching a federal inquiry into HOA fraud. My case started it all. The irony, right? I'd moved to escape drama. Instead, I'd landed in the middle of a true crime miniseries. Weeks passed. Lakefront Meadows started to feel like a community again. People helped each other out, shared stories, fixed fences together. The state froze all accounts, issued refunds, offered amnesty to whistleblowers. The judge ruled the HOA's discretionary funds would go to the victims, and my deed, filed, stamped, and official, was hung in my living room. But then, another twist. State investigators found fake liens filed against at least 9 homeowners. They'd been used to pressure people to sell under market value, sometimes even flipping homes to shell companies tied back to Todd. One neighbor, a retired teacher, said she'd been scared out of her house by threats of emergency zoning changes. The DA didn't play. 37 criminal counts, wire fraud, racketeering, elder coercion. The readings denied bail. Turns out they'd bought burner phones and tried to book a cruise under fake names. No one was running this time. Now, the community meetings turned into support groups. People opened up about bogus fines, threats, repairs that never happened. One nurse had been fined for installing a wheelchair ramp for her husband. But instead of hiding, people banded together. The fences became gathering places. HOA funds were liquidated, assets auctioned, money put into a community trust for repairs and improvements. As for me, one evening, Dale and his son came over to help me hang a new motion sensor by the dock. The lake was still, golden in the late light. Dale asked if I'd ever run for the board once. Things calmed down. I just laughed. No thanks. I've had enough subpoenas for a lifetime. He grinned. Fair enough. But you've got the lake on your side. And you know what? That was enough. Standing there, watching the water, I realized what they'd really tried to take. My peace, my voice, my right to say no. And I'd taken it all back, every inch, not because I wanted to fight, but because I refused to lose what was mine to the illusion of authority. If there's one thing I hope people take from this mess, it's that sometimes the only way to keep your peace is to stand up, loud, stubborn, and unafraid, when someone tries to steal it away. Now, I'll ask you, where do you draw the line? Ever had to fight for what's rightfully yours? Drop your story in the comments. Tell me if you'd have done anything different, and let's hear your take on what real justice looks like.